Tricia really believed the nightmare was finally over. After years of arguments, public embarrassment, whispered rumors, and courtroom tension, the divorce papers were signed, stamped, and sealed. No more lawyers calling at midnight, no more explosive fights spilling into public view, no more wondering if today would be the day everything collapsed again. She thought peace was waiting on the other side of that final signature. But what nobody warned her about was this. Sometimes the ending you fight hardest for becomes the doorway to something even darker. Because while the divorce officially closed one chapter, the court quietly opened another. And this one didn't just change Tricia's life, it tore straight through her home, her relationship, and her children's future. The judge's ruling didn't come with raised voices or dramatic speeches. It came cold, direct, and unforgiving. Ken was out. Not asked to leave, not given time to adjust, forced out. And the kids? Completely erased from filming. No appearances, no mentions, no blurred faces. A total blackout. Overnight, the life Tricia built around cameras, storylines, and carefully edited moments came crashing down. And the worst part? She never saw it coming. Before all of this, Tricia wasn't just another reality TV name. She was the woman who survived chaos and turned it into relevance. Her past was messy, public, and impossible to ignore. She had loved hard, trusted the wrong people, and paid for it in front of millions. Her marriage to Marquez was never the fairy tale people wanted it to be. It was loud, unstable, and filled with cycles of hope, followed by disappointment. Friends saw it, viewers saw it, even Tricia saw it eventually, but walking away was harder than staying, especially when kids were involved and cameras kept rolling. When Ken entered her life, it felt different. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't chasing fame, he didn't seem interested in the spotlight at all. He showed up quietly, fixed things around the house, helped with school drop-offs, and filled the gaps Marquez left behind. To Tricia, Ken felt safe, predictable, reliable. After years of emotional chaos, that stability felt like oxygen. She leaned on him, her kids leaned on him too, and slowly, without a formal agreement or public declaration, Ken became part of the household. But here's the thing about blending families under the shadow of a legal battle. Every move gets watched, every decision gets questioned, and every comfort comes with consequences. While Tricia was focused on rebuilding her personal life, the court was paying attention to something else entirely: the environment her kids were being raised in. Who lived under that roof? Who had access? And whether reality TV exposure was helping or hurting them. What nobody expected was how fast the tone shifted once the divorce finalized. The judge didn't offer congratulations. There was no sense of relief in that courtroom. Instead, the ruling came with restrictions so sharp they cut straight through Tricia's sense of control. Primary custody remained with her, yes. On paper, that looked like a win, but the fine print told a very different story. The court made it clear they were done playing games. The children were no longer allowed to be filmed at all. No exceptions, no loopholes, no, just one scene. That alone sent shockwaves through production, but the real bomb dropped moments later. Tricia was prohibited from living with any romantic partner unless they were legally married. And Ken? He was not her husband, which meant, by court order, he was no longer allowed to stay in that house. The deadline wasn't weeks away, it wasn't flexible. He had days: pack up, leave, or risk serious legal consequences. Ken didn't argue, he didn't raise his voice, he just sat there, stunned, realizing that the place he helped build was no longer his to stand in. One signature had turned him from a partner into a violation. And while everyone else was processing the shock, Tricia was frozen. This wasn't a decision she made, it was one she was forced into. Marry him or lose him, no gray area. No more, we'll see. But here's the twist nobody talks about. Tricia had always struggled with commitment, not because she didn't want love, but because she had trusted it before and been burned badly. Marriage with Marquez didn't protect her, it didn't keep promises, it didn't create safety. So when the court demanded another legal bond as the price of peace, it didn't feel romantic, it felt like a trap. Ken, on the other hand, felt humiliated. He wasn't some random boyfriend passing through. He had invested time, money, and emotion into that household. He had stepped into a father figure role without asking for applause, and now he was being escorted out like an inconvenience. Worse, he felt like Tricia wasn't fighting for him, not publicly, not privately. She hesitated. and that hesitation spoke louder than any argument ever could. As Ken packed his things, the house felt different. The silence wasn't calm, it was heavy. The kids asked questions Tricia didn't know how to answer. Why can't Ken stay? Did we do something wrong? She reassured them, but her voice cracked every time. Because deep down, she knew this wasn't just about a court order. It was about choices she avoided making until someone else made them for her. Behind the scenes, producers were scrambling. The children had been central to the show's emotional arc. Without them, entire storylines evaporated overnight. Scenes had to be rewritten, contracts re-examined. What once felt like raw, authentic reality suddenly had legal boundaries no one could cross. And Tricia, she was left carrying the emotional fallout while pretending everything was fine for the cameras. But what nobody saw was how alone she felt once Ken left. The house echoed, the routines changed, the support she relied on vanished. And for the first time since the divorce, she wasn't surrounded by noise, just her thoughts, and those thoughts were loud. She wondered if she pushed Ken away by never committing. She wondered if fear had cost her the one person who actually stayed. And she wondered whether protecting her kids meant sacrificing her own happiness entirely. Meanwhile, Ken was sleeping out of bags and borrowed spaces. His life, once stable and predictable, had been reduced to temporary stops. Friends asked why he didn't just propose. Why not put a ring on it and move back in? But it wasn't that simple. He didn't want a marriage born of pressure and legal ultimatums. He wanted to be chosen, not required. Talking. Was Tricia already moving on? Was there someone else waiting in the wings? Or was she simply too afraid to lock herself into another commitment? Every smile she posted online was analyzed. Every quote about peace and growth felt performative. The public saw strength. Ken saw distance. What made it worse was Marquez. Though no longer married to Tricia, his presence lingered like a shadow. He watched from the sidelines as the court reshaped her life, and while he didn't say much publicly, those close to him hinted that he felt vindicated. The rules he once fought against were now controlling someone else. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. As weeks passed, the reality became unavoidable. Ken wasn't coming back, not without a ring, and Tricia wasn't ready to give one. The court didn't care about emotions, it cared about compliance, and Tricia was walking a tightrope, balancing motherhood, legality, and a broken relationship she didn't know how to fix. The kids felt it most. Without filming, without normalcy, without Ken, their world shrank. Tricia tried to shield them, but kids noticed everything: the tension, the sadness, the absence. She questioned every decision she'd made leading up to this moment, and for the first time, she wondered if chasing visibility had cost her something far more important. In the end, the divorce didn't free her, it exposed her. It forced her to confront fears she'd buried for years. Fear of commitment, fear of failure, fear of choosing wrong again. And as she stood alone in that house, stripped of cameras, stripped of comfort, she realized something painful but true. Peace isn't something the court gives you, it's something you fight for internally. Ken moved on quietly. No interviews, no dramatic exits, just distance. And that silence hurt more than any argument ever did, because silence meant closure, and Tricia wasn't ready for that. The story didn't end with shouting or chaos. It ended with unanswered questions, with choices left unmade, with a woman forced to rebuild her life without the safety nets she once relied on. And as the lights dimmed on one chapter, another began quieter, lonelier, and far more real than anything reality TV could ever capture. Because sometimes the hardest battles don't happen in courtrooms or on camera. They happen in the spaces left behind when everything familiar is taken away. And Tricia, she's standing right in the middle of that silence, finally realizing that freedom always comes with a price. And whether she's ready to pay it is a story still unfolding.